So I'm sharing the screen. Please let me know if the screen is visible or not. And yeah, this is the thing. So मैं एक नई विंडो ओपन कर लेता हूँ. New window. Yeah, new window. And here we go. Leeches. Studies. My studies endgame. Okay. So here is. Do all of you have the access to studies? Those who have joined today. Do all of you have the access to studies? Okay. If any of you doesn't have the access, please let me know your ID through either this chat or DM me after the session. I will add you there. Okay. So this window आ गया यार. This endgame studies. ठीक है. I hope this study is visible now. These are the chapters we have covered so far. Okay. So if you who don't have the access, just send me your leeches ID. Okay. Either DM me or send me in the Google Meet chat itself. I will add you then and there. So far, there are 16 members who have regularly attended the session and have got copy of the session through the Leeches study. So, if you are joining, you will get this study along with other videos as well. Along with the video, this study is a complementary which will help you to revise the concepts on a daily basis. That's it. So let's start. The chapter is 33 and 34. Okay. Actually, I wanted to show three examples, but the time will not permit us. So we have to go for only one example of this, which was given in today's tournament. And another example is one of my own games versus one of my friends. And third example would be a world championship match between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana. The end game is quite similar. That's why I will just show it. I will just give the link to you. You can just watch it afterwards. Okay. So this is the first game. It was. It's actually, if you see the evaluation here, black is just having minus 0.3. Okay. And minus 0.3 in general means this is a drawish position. But observe that white has four pawns: h5, g4, f3, and f5. Okay, and more than this detail, the crucial part is each of these pawns are on light squares. So, can you tell me that what is the implication of all these pawns being in the light squared areas? Can anybody tell me what is the interpretation or what is the implication of all these pawns being in the light squared region with respect to the given position? Can anybody tell me? You can write in the chat. Ha, true. Bishop won't attack them. Exactly. And this ability of the bishop to attack your opponent's pawn makes all the difference between a win and a loss. Okay. And retrospectively, if we see for white bishop, three of the most advanced black pawn are on the dark squares, and those central two pawns which are passed at the middle of the board are in the light squares, but the light bishop doesn't have any scope to attack them efficiently. Okay, so this position computer shows that even though white has four pawns and black has five pawns and he is a pawn up, but due to the very nature of opposite colored bishop, it cannot, both the bishops cannot attack each other. each other's pawn structures, and therefore this position has to end in a peaceful result. But as you have observed in the tournament, let me show you the link here. Yeah. Can you see the tournament here? The tournament says that white has won no games today and black has won 33%, which means one third of the games today played by all of us has been won by black. Okay. But I said that this game has to end in a 100% draw. This position, which was given to you, should have been a 100% draw. But still, why does black win? Can you just give me a rough idea? Just a rough idea that what led to win by black? Besides not knowing the technique, that's just secondary part. What is the triggering factor which tilts the scale towards winning advantage for black? Can anybody tell me this? More material. In form of more material, don't be generic. Be precise that what is the extra material that black has, and also besides material, what are the other things which we have to take care of. Again, you are saying positional advantage, but what is the positional advantage? Give me a concrete answer that this is the advantage that black holds and he wants to gamble on it. You are correct. You are going towards the correct direction that black has a positional advantage. But what is that positional advantage? If I give you 30 seconds, what is the positional advantage? Yeah, just 1 second. This is the position. Okay. Mm, narrow it down more closely. Black pawns are closer to the king. Okay. Any other positional advantage that you can list off? Okay. But that's not very relevant here. But still, I can understand your argument. That's fine. A one clear cut positional advantage, which I can see, and you can also see it. Just remember one rule of pawns. What is the speciality about pawns when they reach the last square? When pawns reach the last square, what is their speciality? Can you relate with that? Promotion. Okay. So, okay. Okay, evolution. That's fine. But can you relate something to promotion here? Okay. Just let me tell you. Can you observe this d5 and c4? Okay. d5 and c4. Both these squares. These pawns are unopposed by any of the white pawns. First point. D5 and C4 are unopposed by any of the white pawns as of now. As of now. Okay. They cannot be stopped by any of the pawns. Do anybody know that what is this scenario known as? When your pawns are unstoppable through opposition pawns but can be stopped only through the might of pieces, then that scenario is known as which term? Do any of you know this? Pass pawn. Exactly. That was the word I was looking for. So black has two passed pawns here. Okay. Passed pawns means those pawns which have the potential to get converted into a piece of greater value. Okay. means they are unopposed by the pawns of their opposition camp and hence can be promoted to queen or any of the pieces easily. ठीक है? So what you have to do is, as black, you should not take the black, take the draw as black very easily here. What you should eventually do is you have to push these pawns. Okay, you have to try to maximize the advantage of using these pawns by somehow pushing them d4, d3, and marching forward with the king to c5, and then to d4 and to e3, and so on. Okay, of course this requires some bit of luck and some bit of inaccuracy from your opponent, but if your opponent does an inaccuracy, then will you be able to win this? That's what the technique we have to look forward here. Okay, so what is the question? Okay, so here computer suggests bishop d4 as the best move. Okay, and the main threat here is this bishop is coming on a4 to prevent this king to go to c6. Okay, understand the threat first. First of all, let me just remove all these arrows. Now the position is pretty much clear. Let us consider the alternatives for black. d4 is not possible at this point because it drops the c4 pawn. You can see it pretty clearly. And this is a dead draw now. Okay. And more often, this bishop is also not mobile on this g1 to a7 diagonal. The d4 pawn has successfully blocked the bishop from going forward. Okay, so d4 is not possible. Other moves, uh, any other move, I don't see any other move like e4 also working here because you have f takes e4 and then this bishop can take your pawn and then ultimately this is also going. So no way to you know try to advance the pawns in this stage. What about one trick, one trick move? Okay, bishop a5 check. This is a tactical move, and I want you to look forward to this move for just 1 minute. Okay, and is it a correct move to play for black? Can black gamble his bishop in order to hope that his pass pawns win the game? Can bishop a5 be possible? Okay. Contrasting reviews, no and yes, both of them have come. Okay, yes, twice. I will just put a poll. Answer this. Is bishop a5 possible? Yes or no? Yeah, launch. If no, then why not? If yes, then fine. You can stay with your answer. But if you are saying why not, just put the answer then in the chat box. Just put the answer in the chat box if it is not a correct move. Because why I am discussing bishop a5 is because it is a space limiting move for the white king. Okay, and it tempts the white king to do something different, think something different. That's why. Otherwise, I can just proceed with bishop d4. But how will you think out of the box if I only follow the moves which are given by the engine, right? So let us start analyzing bishop a5. The only possible move, I mean, only sensible move for white is king takes a5 here. Okay, because black is kind of giving up this free bishop. Now, why has he given up? Because he wanted the control of c5, c5 square. Okay, so he goes king c5. White only has one move, king a4. Try to go king a3, king b2, and try to draw this. So d4, king a3, d3, bishop to d1, and c3, king b3, and c2, bishop takes c2, d takes, and king takes c2. This is the line which has to be played here. And now let me know if this line is winning for white or drawing for both the colors. Is it a win for white, guys? White has 4 pawns, black has 3 pawns. Is it win for white? Y or N? It's not winning for white. Okay, let me check it. Computer shows it's completely winning. Nee, black cannot win this. I can guarantee you because black has only 3 pawns here. Okay? And white has some chance to win. But we don't know why engine is showing this much because it may be misleading at times. But using your rational thinking, do you think that it is easy to win as white here? Please answer quickly. Y or N? It's not winning. Okay. Poll mein answer is not right. Okay. I will create another poll. Is white winning? Yes. No. Okay. And launch. Launch. Sorry. Yeah. Answer the poll, please. Once you answer, I will look forward to the response and discuss it once again. Okay. 4 votes. One means no. Okay. Who have voted? Can I see that? Okay. Is white winning? Only two guys have voted no. Four of them have voted yes. And what about the rest? One vote has not come. Okay, no issues. So, if you are saying that white is winning, you are absolutely correct. And if you are saying white is not winning, it's drawing, you are missing a very crucial detail here. Now, it's black to move. Suppose I play king d4 here. Okay. Can you find the killer blow for white here? A killer blow which ultimately ends this game in a whiplash. Can you find a move? It is the only and only move which decides the game in favor of white. Just one move. It's not possible to play g6. Pawn is on g4. It cannot play to g6 twice. So your move becomes invalidated. H6 or no, only one move. No two moves here. Most precise move. G6 is again not possible. G4 from G4 pawn cannot move to G6. Okay, you are saying H6. Fine. हाँ हाँ कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. H6 you are saying, and if you are saying H6, try the follow up as well. Another move. You are going in the right direction. Is it G5 or H6? Come on, G5 or H6? Which is the move which ends the game in a swift mode? H6. Okay. G5. G5. Any other move, guys? I've given you only two options: H6, G5. One of them works and one of them doesn't. G5. I hope everybody got G5 here. and g5 is absolutely correct. It's the brilliant move. If you play g5 in an over the board game or in a online game, pat yourself in the back, because it's the best move and the only winning move which seals the deal. Okay. Now, you may say, what is the point of g5? I can take this. White has a stunning move which is f6, sacrificing this pawn. He has sacrificed two pawns. Do you know why? This again deserves a brilliant move. Because if you take this, which is forced, white is having h6, and now f5, h7, g4. Take some time to take this. Take, and h8 equals to queen is completely losing. Yeah, exactly. I have just told this only. Okay. G5 is the most outstanding move which you can find in this position. And due to this, we started at bishop a5 check, and in the ninth move, we are able to deliver the killer blow. Can if we are not engines, or if we don't have time of like 5 minutes, can we ascertain this win practically? No, right? So that's why bishop a5 in a 30-second game might work. But if you have to play the game seriously, then don't try bishop a5 tricks unless you are absolutely sure that it does not work, or it does work. Okay. We played bishop a5, which is a blunder here, but we don't know it's a blunder. We thought that our two pawns would be enough to checkmate the white king. But white says, hold on, I am just playing the king backwards. He plays bishop d1, then we go king d4. He goes, sorry, king d4 is another variation. c3, then he goes king b3, we go c2. He takes, and then we take, followed by king d4. We are going aiming to go for f3 and trying to win this pawn, but suddenly white drops a bombshell, and he plays g5, sealing the deal entirely. And you can also go h6 here. Both are equally good. f6 is unstoppable again, and you are getting to queen. Okay. So I hope you understood this pattern. It was a little bit difficult to follow it, but bishop a5 is a blunder. Okay. And the reason for that blunder, we see it only on the ninth move. Before that, the reason is not apparent. Okay. And here king d4 also meets the same fate. King c2, c3, and if he goes king b3, then the same thing occurs again. And even if you go king e3, this g5 occurs. Okay. And once again, this is a, as you see, brilliant move. And if we go there, h6, king takes f3, h7, g4, queen, g3, and here you can go queen h1, I think, yeah, g2, queen g1, and now the game is entirely over. Okay, bring the king closer. Always an objective in the end game is to bring the king as much close as possible. f4, queen f2 check. Sorry, queen f2 is not necessary here. We can just move the king back and forth. King e1, f3, and now, okay, now we can go something like queen e3, king h2, queen takes e5 check, king g1, and queen g3. This move, queen h4, king g1. Thereafter, I think queen c5. No, queen g3. इसके बाद क्या है, किंग f2. किंग f2 is a draw, right? अच्छा, g1 queen. Okay. Basically, what we see is in this endgame where we play king d4 here. Okay, we promote the pawn, but black tries to go for हाँ, I am just seeing that only. G3, Queen अच्छा, हाँ. Queen F6, Queen takes E5, and Queen E1 check, Queen F2 check. यहाँ पे एक थोड़ी सी ड्रॉ पोजीशन टाइप आ रही है. Okay. G2, thereafter Queen F4 and King to G1, King E2, King H1, and Queen H4, King G1, King F3, King F1, and this is a checkmate. Okay. This is a bit technical, but you can go. Idea is you have to promote a queen, and thereafter you have to capture this f6 pawn, followed by e5 pawn. If you promote this h pawn to queen, and finally, when the queen reaches the last square, I mean the pawn of black pawn reaches the last square, we have to outmaneuver the black king by playing some queen and king moves in coordination. This technique is basically known as staircase endgame technique, where the queen has to contend with the pawn which is on the second last rank, waiting to get into the promotion act very soon. I mean, in the next move itself. It's a separate technique, and we will discuss it tomorrow or day after when we go on with the queen endgames. I'll just queen endgame is on last day, so this topic will be touched upon, and thereafter the queen endgame, the real queen endgame, will be discussed there. Okay, but in chess, generally all these techniques, work in tandem, and we don't have a separate rule or separate kind of arrangement where this rule we have to apply it independent of the others. That's why. So let me show you next game. This is a real game in which I played as white, and Saket Sharma is one of the participants who is going to play in the CSL. He is from Gir House, and he is likely to play in the League One. And we played a game around 6 months ago in Leeches only. It ended in a draw because of uh, the knowledge of opposite colored bishops. Okay, so let me show you the game quickly. We will not focus on opening and middle game as such, but the end game part will be most focused upon. So I started with 1 d4. He played knight f6, pretty much standard. C4, he played this opening is known as Budapest Gambit. You should, I mean, it's not compulsory to remember this opening, but it's a general opening trick which kind of, induces your opponent to go wrong in the opening section itself. So I played d takes e5, most critical line. It's knight g4. This is known as Fazarovitz variation. I mean, the names are pre-decided in the 16th, 17th century onwards. But this is the game which generally gets into the motion. I played e6. Now, I do not recommend you guys to play this opening or play this game, this form of game, because this e6 is a preparation long back which I made around 4 years ago to combat someone who plays Budapest Gambit very well. Okay, this was a homemade preparation, and I discussed it with along with my colleagues and developed this to combat one of the major giant players of Budapest Gambit, who is from my batch only. Okay, so please do not try this at home. It's just a trash opening, I should say at least, and it just some of the techniques are just used to throw your opponents off in the psychological manner. So he played D takes e6. I traded the queens, broke his castling rights. Thereafter, he played h3, knight f6, knight c3. Simple development. Bishop b4, bishop d2, b6, knight f3, bishop b7. Long castles. King e7, a3, takes, knight c6, e3, rook d8, bishop e2, knight e4, rook takes, bishop takes g7, rook g8, bishop d4, rook takes g2, rook f1, rook f2. Actually, bishop g7 was a blunder from my side because I did not see that rook g8 here attacks this and also attacks this also. That's why bishop g7 was a careless move. And even though it netted me one pawn of black, it also resulted in myself giving two pawns in cost of that rash decision. Okay, so bishop g7, rook g8, bishop d4, rook f1 takes, knight f2. I retreated bishop back to c3 because I realized now I am lost. I'm not lost here, but since I have lost one pawn extra, therefore it is always handy to keep both the bishops on my arsenal, so as to create some kind of threats. But he is a smart player. He played knight h3. He took on the second pawn. Now I attacked the h3 pawn, h7 pawn using bishop d3. He played h6, king d2, knight g4. I exchanged the knight because I absolutely wanted this double bishop endgame only. King e2, f6, king f3, knight e5. He exchanged the this bishop as well. And now, if from here on the endgame journey starts, let me show you the eval bar here. It's minus 3.4. Why? Because black is up by three full pawns here. If you notice, queen side has three pawns and he has three pawns. So six pawns, and I have four pawns which can be reduced to uh, three pawns as well if black plays precisely. He is plus two, and here my draw ambitions started to occur. Even though white shows this eval bar shows minus 3.4, yet we have a great chance of drawing this solely because this is a opposite colored bishop endgame. Now let's see how I went about the business. G4, king e2, stopping this pawn from promotion. E5, king f2, king d6, king g3. Okay. Now you may ask, now this black is having king c5. You have allowed the c pawn to get attacked. Now what? He played bishop f3 here. He could have played king c5 to attack this pawn. I played b3, and b3, as I said to you earlier, this is known as a prophylactic move. You remember prophylaxis, right? A move which is made to protect one pawn or one piece in anticipation of attack from the enemy piece. That is known as prophylaxis. So he played a5, b4, and now b4 was played to limit the damage. b5. Now b5 is a move which kind of clears the pathway for the black king to come forward. He's even though giving me one extra pawn, and he's getting this king d5 in return, okay, as he played in the game. And he now aims to go to king d4, king c4 to attack this bishop as well as this b4 pawn and as well as this b5 pawn. This idea is known as clearance sacrifice. He played b5, right? So b5 is a kind of an example of clearance sacrifice. What does clearance sacrifice mean is, you want to sacrifice a piece or a pawn in order to increase the activity of your greater valued piece, which is king in this case. Okay. And most of the clearance sacrifices happen either when you are attacking your opponent on the opposite sides of the board, or in the end games where you have to gain king activity. What if pawn goes in front without taking? For example, you are saying c5 check. C5 is also a bad decision, and it's even bad because you are ultimately giving this king d5. Why is actually black giving his pawn for free here temporarily? Because he wants to have king d5 and then king c4. And even if you go c5, you are actually gifting black king d5 and saying ki you can go inside and you can attack my pawns freely. And here white does not have any kind of mobility, so as to speak, and this is even harder to defend. Okay, so I took here. He anyways went king d5. Now it's my turn to give a clearance sacrifice, which is b6. Now why I gave b6 is because if king c4 comes anyway, okay, by mistake, my logic was if he had made king c4 as a pre-move, then I could actually take this, b takes c7. He's forced to come to bishop b7, and now I can go bishop b2, king d3, bishop c1, and certain moves like this. Bishop a3, and thereafter bishop c1, king takes b4, and this will move forward like this. Okay, thereafter you have king takes g4 as well, and this is reaching towards the draw. We wanted draw, we got the draw. That's it. So that was the first anticipation, but the second and most important anticipation was even if he takes this, I am not worse here, and I just need to try to reach the king somehow to h4, g5, and avoid this trade off. Like, I have to just go king c4. As soon as the king c4 comes, I have to go bishop e1 to guard this pawn, and as soon as king d3 comes, I can play king f2 here, guarding the e3 loose pawn. That's it. That's what I wanted as this clearance sacrifice. And you may ask, what was the difference of this pawn being on c file and b file? Basically, I did not want the king to come to b5 on its merit. Okay, it has to come through some rigorous processes, and when it comes to b5, my king should also have some activity here. That was the main motive. So here, b6, and it got forced for him to take this, and now I played king f2 here. Okay, guarding e3. He played b5 to close the position completely, and I think this was a mistake because he did not allow his king to come to c4 and b5. Okay, bishop e1, f5, bishop c3. Now it's just a matter of waiting. f4 takes, bishop d2, king e4, bishop c3, bishop d1, king g2, bishop b3, bishop e1, bishop d5, setting a trap of discovery. You go king h2, g3. Mind that we should not take this because there is one pawn still left on the board, and this b4 will be eaten away by the black king. We have to go king h3, king f3, bishop to c3. Now even if he comes g2, we have king h2 here. Notice that this game is on the knife edge. Okay, but still white is trying to hold on to his every last resource and prevent black from getting the win here. King e2, bishop d4, f3, and here comes the king g1, sealing the draw effectively. Now white only has to move his bishop back and forth and place this king here and here only. King d3, bishop c5, king e2, bishop f2. It's just a waiting move. King f2, king g1, and it's a draw. Okay. So I hope you were able to appreciate and enjoy the fact that even though black is up by 2 pawns, still white bishop is able to control the flow of the game and is able to miraculously seal the draw. Okay. So any questions, guys? I will just stop it here. And double bishop pair or opposite bishops are tricky and are of drawing nature, but we can get the required results if we play precisely. Okay, so any questions you can just ask, else we will just finish for today and come back tomorrow with the same bishop ending. Okay, so it's fine. So tomorrow is 19, and we have to start up with rook endgames now, because minor pieces are done for now. Now we have to focus more on major pieces, and rook endgame is one of the vast endgames which takes years and years to master. Okay, because rook endgame is a kind of position where on each match something new occurs, and each day a person from an amateur to a grandmaster is thrown into the challenge of defending and winning the position over and over again. Like, I don't know if you are following the chess Olympiad or not. In the previous round, where in the round 6 where China and Vietnam played each other, if you see, world champion Ding Liren and Vietnamese number 1 Lee Kuan Liam, they played a rook endgame. Okay, and that rook endgame, computer suggests that it was a table-based draw because white was only down by 1 pawn. By the way, white was played by Ding Liren and black was played by Lee Kuan Liam, and they tried to maximize. I mean, Lee tried to maximize his advantage of a pawn, and Ding tried to draw the game. And even though computer showed a table-based draw, but Ding collapsed in the position ultimately, giving him the win, giving his opponent a much-needed win, and Vietnam were able to equalize the position with China. So what I'm trying to tell is, rook endgames take years to master, and a position which may apparently look like winning might slip out of your hands and draw, may lead to a draw, or a position which looks like drawable, holdable, may not be that easy, and your opponent can have a barrage of tricks to push you into the deep pool, and you, if you are not careful, you will lose the game. So we will just discuss the basics of rook endgame because it's an ocean of knowledge, and you will be able to apply those basics in the real games as much as possible. Okay, so thank you for joining. I hope you found the session useful, and if you don't have any questions, we can close the call for here today, or if you have any questions, you can just stay back.